And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're going to be taking a look at a game here. Days of Honor is the English name of this game, and this is a really cool theme because basically it's near the end of World War II where Germany was launching the very dreaded V2 rockets, and some of the Polish resistance was helping recover fragments of those rockets so they get them to the British so the British could figure out how to stop these while the Germans were, attempting to not allow this to happen. This is a two-player card game, kind of a tactical combat game, but it's a little different than anything that I think I've reviewed before, and also has a pretty cool box cover here. Let's take a look. So the board or the tables is divided up into three zones. The Germans have the rocket base. This is basically a zone right here. Here we have the middle, the periphery, where rocket fragments are going to land, and then the Polish are hiding out in the trees, so they're over there in this area. Each player is going to get 3 cards that say start on them, and the game is going to take place over 4 rounds. The first round, you'll turn a card over, and this card will show 1 through 6 different rocket fragments, or 1 through 5. So let's say we draw 5, we would put 5 rocket fragments here that are available for people to scrounge from the middle. At the beginning of each round, players will also draw 5 more cards into their hand. It doesn't matter how many you already have, so in the first turn you'll have 8. Players will go back and forth then, taking actions until both players pass, at which point you go to the next round. At the end of the game, whoever has the most rocket fragments is the winner. Now, the way you get these rocket fragments is by utilizing your units. Now, these unit cards look very complicated, but they're really not. What these unit cards do is they tell you the actions that that person can do. So, on my turn, one of the actions I can do is I can play a card into my zone here. Now, when you play a card into your zone, it then, on future turns, you can use an action. When you use an action on a card, for lack of better words, you tap it, all right? Now, there's 3 different actions that this card can do. It can move from one zone to another zone. It can attack another unit that's in that zone. If it attacks another unit in that zone, let's pretend there's an allied unit here, and I'm going to attack that unit. Then both units are going to roll their respective dice and add the number of bullets. So here it happens to be 3 and 3. And if I'm higher than he is, then I have eliminated this card. Then finally, this card has the ability to steal a rocket fragment from the opponent's area. That's why it shows here the green, the trees. So if I was in the opponent's area, I could roll die, and if I got a 4 or higher and they had a rocket fragment over there, I could steal it. Other cards, like this one here, have the opportunity to get the rocket fragments in the middle. They basically scrounge here in the middle. You also notice that this card has an extra thing that it can do, that it can sacrifice itself when another unit is being attacked. You also have cards that are support cards, like this one here, which you would play. This card can't move, but I can tap it to give myself 2 actions in a row, or I can tap it to untap another card, or I can tap it in the middle of a battle to give a +1 to one of my die rolls. There are cards you can play from your hand. They're like interrupt cards, where here basically I can play this to subtract 2 from my opponent's die roll. Or here, I can cancel the bullets that someone's about to do. But most of the cards in your hand are different units, and you can see there's different colors in the corners. That's to help differentiate what kind of unit it is. The red is the strongest unit and can steal stuff from your opponent's base, while the green is the medium unit and the yellow is the weakest unit, and both of those can't steal from your opponent's base, but they can scrounge from the middle. The cards for both decks are almost identical, although there's some special cards that each of the players have. So again, after the 4th round, whoever's gotten the most fragments onto their side is the winner. I really enjoyed several of the aspects of this game. The whole tapping and untapping thing here, the game calls it exhausting. The units is not a bad idea, and it's pretty interesting. Like, you have to really know what you're going to use your support cards for. Do I use my support cards to untap enemy units, or do I use them to do a quick 2-pronged attack, or do I use them for that +1 die roll? So there's a lot of interesting aspects here. The problem is, with this game, it has a lot of cool ideas, and it's done really well. I like how each of the cards has symbology on the cards of what they can do, but for the most part, not in every situation, for the most part, it's pretty self-explanatory. You can pretty much easily remember it. The problem is the game comes down to a few rolls, and if you roll poorly on those rolls, well, tough luck for you. There's combat rolls, there's stealing rolls, there's actually several rolls throughout the game, but if you just mess up on a few of them, that can cost you the game, and it doesn't matter your clever card play as much. Despite that, I actually like the game. I think that this is a cool theme. I think there's some really cool ideas here, and I like to see it maybe taken a little bit further, maybe thought to, is there a way that maybe we could have done the combat a different way? As much as I'm a fan of chucking dice, in this instance it was such an important part and didn't happen so frequently during the course of the game that I wondered that you could just really get messed over, and there's nothing you can do about it. You don't know how many rocket fragments are going to come out, so let's say there's 4 rocket fragments. So one guy goes up and manages to grab one, and then a lucky roll grabs another one. Well, he's already winning 2-0. You move up, you try to grab one, you miss it, and stealing them from your opponent's base is possible, but very difficult comparatively, because they can just keep a bunch of forces there. You bring a guy in, they're going to just do all they can to smack him. So getting him from the middle is important, and that often comes down to super lucky dice rolls. You say, yes, but you can play cards from your hand to modify your die rolls. You can, but every card you play from your hand really will hurt you by basically making you lose a card that you could be out using on the board as an action. So this game is nigh very good. As it is, I think it's pretty good. I think it has a cool theme, it plays easily, and if you can, if that luck doesn't bother you that much, I think you'll really enjoy it, because it's a strong historical flavor to the game, and yet it actually makes sense. I do wonder if the Polish forces were able to go head-to-head with the Germans as they are in this game as much. I think it might have been a little cooler had it been a little bit more asymmetrical, maybe giving the Polish more sneaky cards. And there is some cool cards. In fact, some of the cool special cards are really powerful, and you have to know the right time to play them. So it sounds like I'm a little bit all over the place with this, and I'm not. I enjoyed it. I just think it could have been better and better designed. But as it is, a very good effort and a great moment in history that not many people know about.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Yeah?